depression, bullying, abusive parents, loss of a loved one, stressful job. The land of Tamriel was my only escape.
There's nothing in the world of Tamriel better than breathing the fresh open air of Skyrim, coming home to a warm fire and a beautiful wife after gloriously slaying my enemies in bone-chilling caves. I don't think there's anything... Wait. What? What is this? What in oblivion is happening to me? Must be a daedra messing with my mind. You will not dominate me, Sheogorath. Wait. What? Stand up. There you go. You were dreaming. What's your name? The Elder Scrolls is not just a franchise, but an alternate universe to most of us. It has brought us endless emotion, from raging laughter at the silly bugs to the nostalgic ecstasy of the unforgettable atmosphere. So I'm sure none of us relish thoughts of the current state of Bethesda as it seems to sustain its fall from grace. What was once the industry's boon for the biggest and boldest sandbox RPGs has now metamorphically shifted into the ugly face of corporate greed and gluttony. From what started as simple streamlining has descended into dumbing down their RPGs, all the way to the espousal of microtransactions. There's no deficiency of cardinal sin around here. But there is a chance for redemption. They've made some of the most monumental and memorable games to ever touch this planet, and maybe with enough of us guiding them, they will listen. Todd Howard, the world is on your shoulders.
Hi, my name is Drew Gooden. I make videos on the internet, and I am a massive fan of the Elder Scrolls series.
My name is Ruben, sort of a part of Jar Media, and I played Skyrim.
Hello, my name is Will. I have a channel named Willburger, and today I'm going to talk about my experiences playing Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion.
My name is Mandy of Mandalore Gaming, and I make game reviews.
Hello, Max. This is me answering your questions in relation to Skyrim.
Hello. So I'm going to give my opinions on the Elder Scrolls games.
I'm an internet historian, and frankly, I owe everything I have to to Skyrim.
My name is Reese, and I'm an alcoholic.
So what was it that made the previous game so special? Was it the freedom and environments of Morrowind, or the RPG elements and quests of Oblivion, or the immersion and scale of Skyrim? Let's start with the most recent installment. Nope, not that one. Not that one either. Nordic blood flows through my veins. To traverse the hinterlands of Skyrim from the Reach to the Rift, encountering drunk Nords and suicidal orcs, hiking up pulchritudinous mountains and plunging down deep Dwemer labyrinths. Thinking back on all of it, I feel a sense of ingrained belonging to that world.
Well, Skyrim's had a huge impact on the world.
It's one of my favorite games.
Yeah, I don't know what would have happened to me if I didn't have that game, now that I think about it.
Oh, it's like pure bliss. I love that game.
One of the best gaming experiences I'll likely ever have.
It was just an important game for me to play. It was a very important game, probably for lots of people.
You come into this world as like a nobody, and then you solve everybody's problems. You become the Thane of every city, and then you have impacted the world in that way. And that's what's so cool about the game, living sort of vicariously through these hero characters.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, dude. Let's march to war. Let's fucking do some shit. I'm in the need for some mead and ready to pillage a village, you know what I'm saying? Fuck, that was good. Put that in the video, please.
Well, it almost let you do whatever you want from the start. Everyone always says it, but it was the feeling of exploration. I don't know, it's quite nice memories. You know, it takes me back.
I had a bunch of shitty jobs growing up, so these games definitely helped forget about that for a second. You know, it was the thing that I thought about when I was driving home. After 8 hours of being a slave at GameStop, I get to drive home and finally get to play Skyrim. You know, it was such a cool thing to look forward to.
I mean, it launched my career, big quotations, career. So I'm pretty big impact. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Skyrim, probably. Some jackass I was playing Xbox with was also playing it, and he was killing dragons, and I was like, that's pretty cool. So I made my mom buy it for me, and I killed dragons. Felt good.
So Skyrim was the first Elder Scrolls game I played. It was actually the first Bethesda game I played. And I don't know why I bought it, because I didn't know what it was. I think I was at GameStop, and I just saw like some gameplay footage on, you know, the TV there, and I bought it. Just kind of a reckless financial decision, one of many to come in my life.
We were in Walmart, and I asked my mom, say, can we get this game, please? And my mom said no. That's when I pulled out the old, but Mom, my legs don't work, come on. What else am I gonna do? And the lady next to me found that very funny, and she started to laugh and was like, come on, get him the game. And my mom laughed, and she caved in. She got me the game. And I was just hooked right away. I loved it.
The first time I played the game, I got it for Christmas the year it came out. I remember the first time I saw it in action was watching Toby Turner play it, of all people.
What you got, baby?
And I just saw him going around a dungeon and interacting with his inventory, and I thought, wow, that's amazing. That's a serious RPG. I've never played a serious RPG like that before.
And I brought it home, I started playing it, and I hated it for like the first couple hours, because I just remember being stuck in that first dungeon, like when you're escaping Helgen. I just got stuck, and I was like, why did I buy this game? I don't know what it is. And I got really mad, and I didn't play it for several more days. And then I tried it again, and I got out of the dungeon and spent like an hour going through the open world, opened up the map, saw how little of the world I had actually traveled in that amount of time, and thought, holy shit, how big is this game? And then like 200 hours later, I still hadn't played everything, but I absolutely fell in love with that game, and I had no expectations going into it.
And I collected pretty much everything in the game, but it was a very good time. I guess it had a bit more significance to me then, because I guess, I don't know, it hooked me. I remember going around Solstheim for the first time thinking how amazing it was. That was totally alien to me. Elder Scrolls, Solstheim, that was a great time going around that map.
The fact that there was this big, beautiful world with this, the music is so good. Just when you're walking around, the music's so good.
The atmospheric stuff is pretty much perfect. It really brings the game together, really ties it all together. I think without music that good, the game wouldn't have the same, the atmosphere wouldn't be there without music that good.
But it's the music that ties it all together. The music is so good. Jeremy Soule, you're a blessing.
It'll be like nighttime, you've got like the northern lights, and you just killed a dragon, but you're not even worried about that because you're picking flowers and there's the most beautiful orchestral music playing, and it's like pure bliss.
The base game itself is a monolithic construct, a vast expanse of cryptic mysteries and titanic possibilities. But on its own, it's not much more than that. It's the fact that the whole game can be tailored for the individual, with the giant foundation they designed and the possible integration of over 60,000 and counting different mods. One might concur that spending their entire life in that game could be possible. What's that? You don't like the world or stories of Skyrim? Doesn't matter, because Enderal is but a download away.
In Skyrim, my favorite thing would probably have to be the modding community that came after the game, because they come up with some of the coolest things. Like there's a mod called Frostfall. They make it so weather affects you and the things that you wear affect you. You can change the game entirely into something incredible.
But it was great how easy it was for people to mod Skyrim, and and add the alternate start or live another life, because that does make a playthrough more interesting immediately, being able to just so easily do that.
The things you don't like about the combat and the gameplay and the story, like, the more you play through it, if you just want to do like another casual playthrough from scratch, like, you can just kind of avoid most of the main story if you want to. You can avoid the side quests you didn't like. There's so much content within the game that obviously it's not all going to be good, but if you want to just play the things that are good, then you can do that.
Immediately when you start the Dark Brotherhood, you're like, holy crap, this is intense.
The serial killer side mission was the coolest fucking thing. That's cool. That's so up my alley. I love that. I'm a dragonborn Sherlock Holmes.
I like collecting about 50 side quests at once, then setting the marker for everything, then going around and mindlessly fulfilling them in order of what's closest, while watching a movie or listening to a podcast.
I did like the side quests quite a bit more probably than the main quest, doing the Dark Brotherhood and the Companions and the Thieves Guild. That's actually quite good, especially the Thieves Guild. People are particularly fond of that because obviously you get the Nightingale armor and the skeleton key that you get, and then you just never finish the quest because you would rather just have this unbreakable lockpick than have to deal with actual master chests properly.
Hey guys, what's up? I had another Skyrim video for you today. So yeah, what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna show you the advantages of a skeleton key.
Honestly, I think my favorite memory of the game,
Finding the hottest wives in Skyrim.
Hello, Scrimmers. In this video, I'll be showing you the proper way to fuck your wife.
Got like 2 million views. I just would show people the hottest wives in Skyrim.
I only ever do one thing. I enter an area, I kill and loot everything, then I take those items back to a vendor, I'll put on the new gear, and everything else goes into a locker or a barrel, and then that's it. And then I'll just go and do that again. I'll go to a new area and repeat the process.
And I also did the ridiculous glitches where you could instantly level up one of your powers by using telekinesis to pick up a book and then just fast traveling to somewhere else on the map. I kind of love how broken Skyrim was like that, but that was it.
If you use alchemy in conjunction with smithing and enchanting, then you can just become incredibly overpowered super quick.
You can play sneaky. You could play aggressive. You could play magic. You could play bow and arrow. Even bare fist if you wanted to. Which, fuck that.
I got my best friend CJ to play the game, and then he played it for like a few hours and was like, oh fuck it, this is great. And now he's as obsessed with it as I am. He's played it on multiple consoles just like I have.
Fucking turning into a vampire and a werewolf was so fucking cool. That's fucking dope. That is so metal as shit. I loved it.
I like the quick saving feature. Quick loading is also good. What features do you hate most about the game? Oh, I don't like very much when you go to hit the quick save and you accidentally quick load. That can be a pain.
The invisible chest that was poking through the rocks and doing that a lot as well. I loved all that. I loved because that felt like it was a part of the game. Which sounds ridiculous because, people say the bugs are a part of a Bethesda game. And I think as time's gone on, they've become a bit too complacent with it. But with Skyrim, there was something very charming about how dumb it all was. Something very charming about it.
Need something?
Oh god, no! Oh god.
Do you get to the Cloud District very often? Oh, what am I saying? Of course you don't. I'll have you know that there's no pussy.
People, you come to just know the bits of dialogue that they say whenever you walk near them.
They should have had a lot more voice lines for the guards, because you run into guards more than anyone else, and they all say the same goddamn thing.
I used to be an adventurer like you, till I took an arrow to the knee.
Let me guess, someone stole your sweet roll? Every time I dump all my junk at the general store in Whiterun, do come back.
Oh, I heard you're joining the Dawn Guard.
A special delivery for your eyes only. And that's the Amazon delivery guy in Whiterun.
Are you here to discuss the ongoing hostilities like the other great warriors?
Bark, bark.
I'm sworn to carry your burdens. Fuck Lydia. Lydia was a cunt. She was a fucking bitch. Your first companion, and she's just complaining? Fuck off. Do you know who I am? I'm the Dragonborn, baby.
I remember the king. Swag. He was a bit of a cunt because he sat in his chair like I'm sitting in this chair. And the chair was way too big for him. I'd fill that chair a lot better.
What are all the things you loved about the characters? Their loot?
Everyone remembers how the Riverwood trader was the trader who, if you invested in, he would have 11,000 gold, and that made him the best person to go and barter with. But one time in one of my playthroughs, in my big one, a dragon just killed him. So that was that.
Well, it's responsible for a lot of memes and references. It's kind of like The Simpsons of the video game world. You can kind of speak in Skyrim references.
I used to be an adventurer like you. Then I took an arrow in the knee.
There is an extraordinarily short list of content that can cause my mind to teleport into another universe entirely. Somewhere along that list is Lord of the Rings, A Song of Ice and Fire, and now The Elder Scrolls. Whenever your reality is either immeasurably overwhelming or awfully uninteresting, you can submerge yourself into the world of Tamriel. All of your troubles, stress, and demons you battle in real life won't just disappear, but they suddenly seem so much less disheartening after a vacation as a Dovahkiin. Whether you spend an entire night in the ambiance of Skyrim atmospheres collecting Nirnroot, or you stand on the throat of the world wrestling an ancient dragon, you can come back to your life feeling a sense of calm. You can get back to work without any difficulty.
Skyrim saved my life. I was about to kill myself.
I remember at the time, Frederick Knudsen was constantly cyberbullying me. Eventually, after training for many years in the game, it gave me the confidence to tell that hater to back off, and I showed him my full suit of ebony armor, and after that he started treating me with respect.
To me, Skyrim represents the last period of my life where I could prioritize video games over all my other responsibilities, and ultimately it didn't matter in the end. That was what's so great to me about the memories, is it was that pure, unadulterated, just fun escapism.
I think the Elder Scrolls games in general have always been an escape for me. I have two brothers that played those games with me, and really that was like our best connection, because the game offered me what it offers most people. A way to live a life that isn't your own.
This one, it's a little bittersweet. It involves my friend who is sadly passed away now. And him and I were like brothers, you know. And he had gone through a really bad breakup. And his relationships were kind of an important aspect of his mental stability. It was real bad. And he had called me and said that he wanted to come over. I said, yeah, man, go ahead, come on over. I'm just played Skyrim, and we just sit in my room. He sets up shop on the floor, and we just start playing Skyrim together all night. I help guide him through, build his character, tell him about the game, and we didn't talk about his breakup. Not even once. I feel like we didn't even really need to. It was having fun and getting ready to escape from, life for a few hours. I really do cherish that memory quite a bit. Damn. Whew.
A beautiful distraction from life. That's what these games are.
Skyrim left an everlasting mark on me more than most games ever have. It doesn't need a riveting narrative or one at all, because it isn't the politics of the Imperials and Stormcloaks, or the Archmage questline at the College of Winterhold, or even the ancient prophecies of the World Eater that allowed this virtual edifice to imprint itself in the essence of my life. It's the little moments that I may talk to whomever, go wherever, and do whatever I want. Not literally, since the game isn't a perfect incarnation of reality, but I think it's one of the closest iterations we've achieved so far. You're situated at the fringe of a cliff. It's dusk. Your Khajiit, Orc, Argonian, Elf, and Terran companions rest around a campfire sharing the spoils of glorious bloodshed behind you. Your eyes consume the astonishing scenery in front of you after a taxing voyage through a Daedric shrine. You feel a warm surge of bliss enkindle your heart. You think to yourself, this is fun. Nothing describes the longing to live out in the province of Cyrodiil, a world radiating with inventive fantasy, when we all realized we were powerful paragons of heroism just by laying our hands down on a keyboard, mouse, or controller. Oblivion is epic and emotional, without the sacrifice of its self-awareness. The game is hilariously silly and doesn't try to shy away from that, and yet, it was able to retain our earnest attention non-comically.
What can you tell me about the impact the game had on you personally? Well, it gave me a job on YouTube, so that's pretty fucking cool. Except, you know, I have to tell girls at parties that I'm a YouTube Let's Player. That's my job. Yeah, I'll tell you a story. I told this on one of my streams, but it's interesting. I actually went into EB Games to buy Fable 2, and I think Fable 2 like came out on the same day or like the same week as Oblivion. And I got into EB Games and I was waiting in line, and I'll never forget this big Chungus, this big fat guy in front of me with a silver cape, I shit you not, he bought Fable in front of me. And then he walked off, and I got up to the counter, little 12-year-old me, hello, can I have Fable 2? And they're like, no, sorry, that guy just bought the last copy. And I looked at the big Chungus with the big silver cape, and he turned and smirked at me. I'll never forget that shit. So, yeah, I bought Oblivion instead. And, you know, it turned out to be an amazing game. I was really enjoying it, and I got my friend to buy it, and I was at his house, and we had a lot of fun with the character creator. For those who don't know, Oblivion has a really fucky character creator. You can really go nuts, which I think is an important feature of any role-playing game. Like, you can make reasonable-looking characters. I just think if it's a role-playing game, you should be able to get a little fucky if you want to. And I made it look really fucked. And then like he was doing something, and then he came back into the room. He's like, what have you done? And I turned the character to face the camera, and it was just the most like fucked thing. It looked like a human light bulb. I have this thing where when I laugh really hard, I like faint. I like pissed myself, and like I passed out, and I remember I hit my head on his desk and like concussed myself. I don't know why this is one of the best memories I have with the game, but there you go.
Shame all the small stores are gone. I guess they just couldn't compete.
There's a spell making feature. You have to spend a lot of time getting there. I think you have to become a mage. But I thought that was cool. I liked how you could do that. There wasn't really anything that I didn't like. Maybe the disposition system. I thought that was kind of fucking stupid. I didn't really use it.
For fuck's sake, I fucking had enough! God fucking damn it!
What are all the things you loved most about the main story? Definitely the scale. Oblivion had a massive scope, and it's something that I love about storytelling. It's something that a lot of like Japanese shows do, a lot of animes do, and a lot of cartoons do. A lot of animes have this problem where they start really big, like Dragon Ball. Everything's always epic right from the start, but Oblivion did scale really well. It started really small, and then by the end, you know, you're battling like a 50-foot demon. Hell's portals have opened everywhere, and it's mental. While Skyrim, I didn't think had that epic scale. I love Oblivion started this thing. Morrowind did very tropey quests, but Oblivion started the side quest thing where you'd go on a quest, and it'd be like, go find the treasure of this pirate. And then it's like, oh, you get in a cave and it's not as it seems. Like all the pirates are dead and now their ghosts are there. Like the way they flip tropes and, you know, have a little bit of a surprise. I thought that was cool. And now that's just commonplace, I think, for side quests. But I liked that.
Soldiers of Cyrodiil, the Empire will stand or fall by what we do here today. Will we let the Daedra do to Bruma what they did to Kvatch? Will we let them burn our homes? Will we let them kill our families? No!
Oh my god, I think the voice cast and the characters are better than Skyrim. Fucking Sean Bean? Unless you need something, let's continue on to Waynard Priory. No, Sean. No, okay? We're joining the Thieves Guild today. To Waynard Priory then. And obviously, you know, the adoring fan, the sex slave boy, the only companion that you get in the game. The adoring fan can die, but a lot of people don't know he resurrects every few hours of gameplay. So he'll just reappear suddenly in your game.
Bye.
Patrick Stewart had a really small role, and I loved his character.
I am your emperor, Uriel Septim. By the grace of the gods, I serve Tamriel as her ruler.
There's no characters I dislike. I mean, all the characters are like equally epic and memorable, and also autistic and lovable, you know?
Farewell.
May you rest in peace.
Hi, Anne. Nice to see you again. Hi, Nami. What did you do this holiday? I went skating with my family. Sounds good.
Yeah, the way people can laugh at the game today, I think it's great. But also, I think it drastically changed RPGs. There's a video on my channel where I look at, you know, Oblivion's very goofy today, but it was very ambitious. Oblivion, Elder Scrolls. There's video footage of Todd Howard, who's the director of Bethesda. I fucking met him at E3. I love you, Todd. They talk about and they show how they sit down and play these games. PewDiePie says the same thing if you watch his video where he talks about Oblivion. So I think a game like Oblivion was necessary for other RPGs like The Witcher to come in and swoop in and do it more applicable to today's audience. I already know my favorite song, King and Country. I don't know, it makes me think of that beautiful, saturated, green, happy landscape from Oblivion. The way, I don't even need to listen to the song, I know exactly what happens. But the way Jeremy Soule wrote King and Country as it comes in, it's beautiful. It's like wind. I don't know. I sound like a big stoner, but it represents the beautiful landscape of Oblivion. Oh my gosh. 3,000 hours of my life. That's what it means to me.
I remember in my middle school years when I'd set the speakers on the floor next to my mattress and YouTube the glory of Cyrodiil from the Oblivion soundtrack, laying in bed at night sightseeing a stream of dreams with knights and castles walking next to Martin Septim. I vividly remember those dreams like they were yesterday, like a whole life I've lived through, and I only recently came out of the wardrobe that exits Narnia, watching the sun rise along the horizon of the kingdom, hearing the birds chirp, feeling the gentle breeze on my face. There was an astounding splendor in those heavenly tones. Without Morrowind, Bethesda would be buried 6 feet deep in 8th bankruptcy. This was their Final Fantasy. I've never played Morrowind, but I will speak on behalf of those that did. From what they told me, and I quote,
Morrowind. Now this is a gift from God. This game is so good. When I first played it, I hadn't played anything like it, and it was just an experience that defined the rest of my life.
When I first played Morrowind, I was in middle school. I saw a case for it at a video rental store, and it was the Game of the Year edition. And it was something that I had heard a bit about, but I couldn't get the actual game because my computer at home wasn't good enough to run it. The first time I picked it up, I don't think I understood just how big the world was until I got to Balmora, and I just saw that it kept going and going and going.
You start out in this little town, and once you leave, you have 2 options. You can go right or left. And if you go left, you're greeted by this man that falls from the sky and dies. And he has a scroll on him that makes it so you can jump like 1,000,000 feet in the air. It's little things like that that made this game so good. There was so much passion put into it.
And I looked at the map, and this, had the expansion, so Solstheim was up there too. And I realized just how huge all of this was. I could interact with everything on a very, very micro level. Like the fact you could walk in a house and move things around, and it was on a landscape so big was just mind-blowing to me. It was something I was really looking forward to playing after school.
At that time, Morrowind was a pretty awesome game. You can go back and play it now and you'd be like, oh my god, the combat is awful and stuff like that. But I think still to this day, there are a lot of things that Morrowind does right.
When things were piling up, it was just this place where you could go and you could live out a completely different life and take things at your pace, and you didn't have something immediately due the next day. Just the sheer amount of stuff you could do was really appealing to me. One of my favorite memories of it was there's a fort in Solstheim called Fort Frostmoth, and I wanted to make that my house. So what I ended up doing was using a command spell to move everybody out of the house and move all the stuff out, and basically just move the Imperial Legion out of their own fort. At the same time though, I still said, I kind of want some NPCs I like around. and then I had to make like a area of effect command spell, and I was just gathering up this big posse, and I didn't realize until I actually got to the port to Solstheim that you could just fast travel them across. So I ended up having this kind of exodus across all of Vardenfell with this big train of NPCs following me, and I'd have to keep drinking potions and recasting the spell and turning it around, because I had to get these people across the entire country and then across the sea so I could have some staffing at my house across in Solstheim. It was really funny looking back at how much time I essentially wasted doing this, but it just goes to show, it's like, oh, if you want to move out of a house and move in, that's your call. If you want to take some people across, that's your thing. There was just so much you could do.
You touch my tra-la-la.
Oh god, the Gracious Curio or Gracious Curio. Some of the stuff he has you do to get like your stronghold. It's something I don't think he would do today. Like he wants you to like take off your clothes so he can like look at you, and he's always calling you like dumpling. He's like, oh yeah, I'll give you the property deed, it's easy, but I just want a kiss. But it's something you wouldn't expect, and it's done intelligently. And it's done in a way that's really memorable. Oh man, when I talk about Morrowind's music, it's surprisingly somber at times, but there's also this kind of sense of adventure it gives you, because especially the theme, they'll suddenly ramp up, and it's like, oh, you've triumphed over this wall of misery, and you finally climbed over it. Even listening to it now, it makes me think of just kind of having the weapon out, and you're slowly walking across the landscape, and there's the occasional tree going by, and you're off somewhere. It makes me feel like there's things are gonna work out, like something good is gonna happen. If you just keep going and you don't stop, everything's gonna be okay. As for me, it kind of changed how I looked at video games. It made me, I guess, it made me want more from games. It made me go, oh wow, you can do this on this level, on a scale this big. And it was hard for a long time for games to stack up to it. It stayed as this thing where it was a completely alien, different world that you could still walk into. And I kind of look for that kind of thing in games, though really, even now, no one's really done that level of detail and scaling that Bethesda has done. At the same time, I kind of wonder if Morrowind is going to be it as far as something that good on so many levels coming together like that will be. I'm looking kind of hopeful towards it. I'll just listen to the Morrowind theme to feel better.
I believe Morrowind to be the greatest gaming experience that exists, and will try to prove why. You have to understand, at the time this was the most massive game ever made, at least it seemed as such. For the first time, the world bears witness to another. One with silt striders and giant sprawling mushrooms. Ultra-precious treasures conceal themselves everywhere around the world, and there is no level dependence to unearth these miracles. You could loot Daedric artifacts at level 1, and this system proactively encouraged adventurous exploration for extraordinary enjoyment upon finding such secrets. Every step was a breath of fresh mystery and excitement. Expect anything to happen. No babysitting or hand-holding can be found here. A harsh and hardcore planet draped in death traps resulted in an experience that pulled in even the most disengaged players. You were part of Morrowind. There are no quest markers planted at the top of your screen to magnetize mindless parties to where they're supposed to go. Use your brain and read your journal. There is no fast travel to break up the pace of gameplay with minute-long loading screens to avert exploring the world of the game you're supposed to be exploring. Labor-intensive tasks don't hinder a game, they improve them. It's the biggest difference between hardcore RPGs and idle mobile games. Dumbing down makes a game easier to play, but it's much less fun. And vice versa for the opposite. Intelligent games are harder to play, but they're way more fucking fun. Morrowind is a masterpiece. End quote.
I think the basic nut of the game, which is I'm going to make the person I want to be, and then explore this world that is very real to me at the time I'm playing it, and fantastical. How does that game react to what I'm gonna do? And give me an outlet for whatever kind of character I wanna play. And kind of that adolescent power fantasy of, what I thought I was doing when I played Dungeons & Dragons.
If anyone at Bethesda is watching this, take these words with you whenever you get back to work.
If I had to give Todd Howard some advice for Elder Scrolls 6, I would say, just take Morrowind and do exactly what you did with Morrowind, but with better graphics and better combat and all that. Then you'll have a masterpiece, guaranteed. Make it interesting, make it fun, Don't be afraid to have fun with these games. Make it weird. And sadly, that's missing from Oblivion and definitely from Skyrim. I hope it has a lot of the fantastical elements that Morrowind had. I hope that it tries to be different, because what I found most appealing about these games is that you can create your own story, You can create your own character, you can do whatever you want with them.
God Howard? Well, he was God Howard, now he's kind of a little bit of a scumbag, but... I don't like him so much anymore, because his philosophy is to take things away from the game now. He thinks he wants to simplify it, but makes them worse. Just more, yeah. Don't do what Todd Howard wants to do and make less. More. Don't voice protagonists, please, because it cuts down on all the amount of dialogue options you can have. And don't do what they did in Fallout 4 and make it where you have to be a good guy.
That's the thing that sucks about becoming a Bethesda fanboy from Skyrim and previous Fallout games, is they've kind of let everyone down since then, and I want to trust that Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be good, but it's so hard to with their track record now, and it's just like, is it going to happen? I don't want to play Skyrim 2 online. I want to have my own experience. I control the environment. I have the ultimate decision on what happens to the world. Things that would take it to the next level would be a more modernized dialogue system, sort of like some previous Fallout games where you have more choices. I think that would be great. To my memory, Skyrim was very linear. I mean, obviously you could branch out and do kind of whatever you wanted, and you didn't have to do everything, but with certain quests, you didn't really have a ton of choices within those quests. So having choices that would kind of branch out the game in more directions would be really cool.
It really wasn't pushing the limit of extensive combat. It was very just chocolate and vanilla. It didn't give you anything fancy. Could benefit more from getting that sword play in there.
Maybe the gameplay isn't too fun. It's sort of just click and cast spells. I don't like fetch quests. I don't like quests where they send you into a dungeon to get something. Knights of the Nine had that. It's not part of the main story, it's a side quest. But Knights of the Nine had really shitty fetch quests, and it's shit. I don't think it's a good DLC at all. A lot of people say Knights of the Nine's a good DLC. It's not, it's atrocious. In my opinion. People can still enjoy things and laugh at them. Like, we're seeing a lot of shit like Deadpool that breaks the fourth wall, a lot of violent stuff that's marketed for kids. Rick and Morty's a great example, like adult themes in kids' animated shows. Like, I think if you can look at all the really silly NPC dialogue in Oblivion and laugh at it, it doesn't necessarily make it a problem. I think it's enjoyable.
I don't like the difficulty in it. I think the difficulty settings are particularly rubbish, because it's not real difficulty scaling. It's just enemies kill you in 1 or 2 hits and you deal very little damage, and that's not really difficulty. That's just silly. Enemies don't respond a great deal to your attacks. There's not much of a combat system. It's just a bit nothing compared to RPGs. It's called, let's say, Dark Souls, where the weapons are very distinct in what they can and can't do, and when not to use them, and the builds are very distinct in Dark Souls. I want to see greater depth in the combat and the builds and the customization of armor, because Skyrim, it was just everyone gets Daedric armor, or maybe the Stalrim set, the Deathbrand set in the DLC. That was it. It just didn't feel like there was a great deal of variety. Bethesda games lack quite often anyway, lack the variety of choice, but they're not quite as deep, shall we say, as The Witcher 3, for example. But The Witcher 3 is almost an unfair one, just because of how brilliant that game is. It's kind of an exception to the rule. If the story just needs to be I think an effort needs to be made with it. It needs to not be this perfunctory effort that they just sort of tie on at the end, you know, where they've made a big map, so they're like, well, now we need to just throw a story in there. The story needs to be more considered in the world. I mean, because things like Fallout 3 and maybe New Vegas had immense depth in what you could be and do, particularly New Vegas. And the Elder Scrolls lacks that, because most of the time you just kill your way out of everything, maybe with the odd intimidation or persuasion. So it needs to be greater depth. The music can remain the same, the immersion is pretty much brilliant as it is. I mean, a lot of the things are based around gameplay and the story just being improved to be in line with the feeling of immersion and the music.
For 6, I'd like it if they included multiple path quest lines, especially for the main quest where you could actually go out and join the bad guys. In Morrowind, I remember feeling very disappointed when I learned that you couldn't actually go out and join the 6th house, so I thought maybe that'll change in later games, but it never did. So having some variety of where you can go and making replayability with a different character even better, I'd like to see that. I know this was a Fallout 4 thing, but I hope they completely abandon that idea of having a voiced protagonist. It really limits the amount of stuff you can do, it limits the amount of content you have. Just implementing voice acting in general to a game that big for everything is already monumental and cuts down just how much you can do. And a lot of the responses end up going in the same direction anyways, so that was kind of a waste. Actually, now that I think about it, the whole engine, they really need to seriously overhaul that thing or just completely dump it, because it's really showing its age. I mean, when you have Fallout 76 having some issues and trace files from Morrowind, it might be time to build something new. I hope that they try to make the story more interesting and they make the characters more interesting, and that they have some nuance to them, and they don't try going the route of appealing to as many people as possible with something very safe and very generic, which I feel like Skyrim had that issue. At the same time, it's like, no matter what they do with the story, people are going to buy it in droves regardless because of their reputation. So I hope they don't think that, oh, if we make the story and we make characters too strange, then people aren't going to want to, they're not going to want to play it. If we make our environment too different than generic fantasy, people aren't going to want to see what it's about. I think that if you have that huge amount of player base there, I think you can move forward with it. I think you could do something interesting with it and still make a bunch of sales and still get talked about for years and years afterwards for it. I guess I just hope that they add more onto it and they don't start cutting things down to make it easier to play and more appealing to people.
I'm probably going to make some people mad, but I think most of the lore in Skyrim and most of the quests are actually pretty shitty. I love the game. I really enjoy playing it. But have you ever tried to sit down and actually read the books in Skyrim? I have a few times, and holy shit, they're bad. Like, everything is broken into these different ages, and then you kind of have to know what happens in every age. And by doing that also, it's not like a set number of years. So like age 1 is 100 years and age 2 is 100 years. It goes like age 1 is 436 years, and then age 2 is an unspecified number of years, and it's, oh, for fuck's sake. And so it makes the sequence of events impossible to discern. And then all the stories are written in this kind of piecemeal, detail way. So you have to know like 200 things until you can start enjoying a single one of them. Because otherwise, you spend the whole time going, oh, Grogam Gogalash did such and such, and you go, who the fuck's that? And then they go, in the something something arena. And you go, oh, interesting, where's that? During the something something era. When the fuck is that? And he became the new king of such and such. What is that? And you just spend the whole time, it's borderline impenetrable if you know none of the context, and there's way too much of this stuff. And that's the reason I think it's never really caught on the way that like WoW lore or any of these other sorts of games have, because it's really easy to tell when, who, what, where with everything else. And bless them, the guys in charge of Elder Scrolls seem to have done everything they can to make it as obscure as possible. Anyway, we'll leave it alone. But I will tell you about the main fucking questline. That throat of the world bullshit with testing your shouts. I can learn a single spell on a single button, thanks. I don't need a 15-minute stand-around tutorial. It's like every time I start a new game, this is the thing I dread. It's eventually having to go to the throat of the world and stand around with these bearded hermits that just stand around while you have to shout at pottery and sprint through pointless gates, and they go, "Oh my god, he's the chosen one." They absolutely need to make a skip for this. I can deal with the long-ass intro, but this throat of the world thing is the worst element in the entire game.
We want you to take your time. Give it some love. Not another Fallout 76. We want you to make this game a true RPG like they used to be, while still retaining the action elements of the newer ones. We want you to realize that it is very possible to make a smart game for mass appeal. And for the love of Christ, use a brand new engine. Like, seriously? Use a brand new engine. Come on. Like, a Morrowind engine. Okay, whatever. That's all I have to say. At the end of the day, it is just a game. But then again, it really isn't. Thank you all.
I think that does it. I hope this was able to suffice, Max. I love you. You're a good man, and you have a glorious penis.
Thank you so much. Check out my channel, Wilburger. Hopefully this doesn't get edited out. And subscribe to Mama Max as well. I appreciate what he's doing. Bye-bye.
My name is Ruben, and I am Farengar Secretfire.
My name is Mandy, and I'm Cornelius Legato, the commander/squatter of Solstheim.
My name is Elvis, and I am Lord Vivek.
My name is Drew, and I am sworn to carry your burdens. I'm Lydia.
My name is Reese, and I'm Tim the Khajiit. That's the gayest thing I've ever said in my entire life.
If you enjoyed the video, go to my Patreon and give me money for it, because YouTube sure as hell doesn't pay me. No Doki Doki, you're a homo okie dokie audio hater scared of me, cause I'll abuse him terribly, and you're Hispanic swine sky 69 underdog, suck my cock, Sir Lich don't make me laugh, more like Sir Aslick, that's a fact. Leslie Sulfate, Rivet's giblet, seems like I killed it from a skillet, serve my silver platter, and eat him and throw up and beat off. Thank you all.